Hey guys, Huzuni here. I just wanted to jump on and make a quick tutorial. I got a few questions around how the turrets are set up, and I figured it would be easier to just do a quick tutorial on how I set them up rather than trying to type it out every time. Wonderful. So this is a demonstration on one of my older builds. I don't think I have published this one, or at least it hasn't been showcased or anything. But this is just a small little ship that I've built. And it actually has a hand-powered cannon. Now, this is a super useful hand-powered turret, particularly for smaller survival-focused builds. Whenever you start making them larger, it gets quite complex and it's definitely easier. I've cut this ship here in half for demonstration purposes. I might do a follow-up on propulsion and buoyancy and whatnot later on. But let's start with the turrets. So, um, obviously, there's two different bearings or methods of swivel. The first one is the mechanical bearing. Now, this is part of the Vanilla Create mod. I'm just using this here to demonstrate how not to do it. Now, this is great for doors, but when it comes to setting up any type of turrets, I would not use it. The problem is that they can only travel 90 degrees. So if I put a 45-degree angle, it will just come back to its return point. It has to be 90 degrees. So don't make the mistake of using the Create mechanical bearing. What we want to be using is called the swivel bearing. Now, the way we set this up is we take the swivel bearing and we place it down. When we place it, we want to make sure that the little padlock here is flat on the ground, that we don't want to move. So I've got a demonstration here of what happens if it's upside down. You'll see that our turret isn't moving, it is just the base. So make sure that this lock is facing down like this. So in this case, there we go, now we can turn it. Another quick tip I would say is these copper valve handles, super useful. I usually like to put two of them on my turrets. I'll have one that has like maybe 45 degrees, one that has 10 degrees. It just means that you can get really a really good level of control, right? You can move it 45 degrees to one side and then make those small adjustments. Super useful. Moving on, that is the left and right swivel. Now we want to look at the up and down. Now, by default, if we set this up and we connect that there, it will tell us that it is overstressed. So what we need to do is find a way to increase the amount of power that we're putting in. So generally how I would do that is I would, off the base of the turret, I would take a large cogwheel and then put that into a smaller cogwheel. Then I would put that smaller cogwheel into another large cogwheel, and then that large cogwheel into a smaller cogwheel. From there, we can kind of tidy this up a bit. I like to put casings at the top here. This just means that you can kind of sit on top and aim. I'll grab another one of these valve handles. And also, sorry, that's a gearbox. I'll then put casings on this to kind of not make it look like a massive cluster of just cogs. It's a nice way of kind of just cleaning up your builds. Now, we can go up the top here and we can control the elevation from these handles. You can obviously, left one is up, right one is down, or you can just hold shift and click on it for counterclockwise. So by default, clockwise, shift click, counterclockwise. Super useful, those handles. Now, if we want to move this left to right, we can. The only complication here is to make sure that you glue it. So when I am making a turret, what I will normally do is I will use the default version of glue. So I will use the Create mod glue. There is the Create honey glue, and I'll just show you up here. What I like to do is, instead of using honey glue for everything on my build, I'll make the turret normal glue and then I'll make the rest of it honey glue. And that's just so if you need to come in here and troubleshoot anything, you can actually kind of get in here and delete individual pieces of glue. It's not as good. The honey glue is way better because you can just control click the whole thing, but it is good when you've got kind of two different entities interacting with each other. So just making sure that this is glued up. It's like I said, it is the more annoying version of glue to use, but that's pretty much it. And we've got a functioning turret here. We've got verticality. We can move it left to right. Now, that is an overview of the hand-powered turret. If you wanted one that ran off of Steam, that is a different story. Now, that was a quick overview on how you can build a turret that is powered by, I guess, the player or the hand. So now if we wanted to look at powering this by a steam engine or something along those lines, what we can do is obviously making sure that the turret is glued. We don't want it to just spin around like this, right? We want it to be able to have directional controls. So what we'll do is we'll take our power input. Now, the key to this is called the directional gear shifter. Now, this one here, it does require a bit of space on either side. What we can do is put that in there like that. And if we get now a lever, depending on what side of the gear shift the power is being input, that controls the direction in which it moves. So what I would normally use is a speed controller because you want it to not move too quickly. I think I usually run it at about 5. Now the best way to control this, in my opinion, is with the wireless redstone link. Let me find that really quickly, this guy here, and then also in conjunction with that, the best way is to use the hand controller, which I don't know what it is called off the top of my head. Let me find that one there quickly. Linked controller is what we want. We want the linked controller. So if we pop one on either side here, I like to just put a gear shift on one side, that on the other, and then we'll put that on that side and that on that side. Now, if we come in here, shift right click, and then we want this here. We need to make it the same. So what we'll do is we'll pop, connect that up, and then come in here, go like that, and then that, and that. And that should be our left and rights. Click on that there. So now if we right click this, oh, haha, don't hit shift. That was a mistake. We right click there and we can hold the A key and the D key. Super straightforward as far as the left and right motion. Where it gets a little bit more complicated is when we want to do the vertical control. So horizontal, piece of cake. Vertical is a little bit more challenging. So what I'm going to do is get rid of this on the side here. Now, the way that I would do vertical control is I would use a mod. So there's obviously a few different ways. You could put that small one block engine from Create Aeronautics inside your turret, like inside the casing there, if you wanted to do that. The way that I've gone about doing it is I would probably use something like this. So there's a mod called, I think it's something along the lines of transmissions and linkages, and introduces these universal joints and these universal joint rods. Now, this is super useful because it means what you can do is you can pop a universal joint head. Oh, sorry, I'm going to need another one of those on your turret or the sub-level. Then you can go down, and what I'll do is I'll grab another one of these and another one of these, and then what you do is pop. Oh, this isn't going to work because it needs to have a little bit of a distance from where you're trying to set it up. So you do need a bit of space to set this up. So what we'll do is we'll grab, this is again the universal joint head, and I'll pop the other one on there. Then grab the universal joint, so the andesite joint. As you can see, that's moving up. What we didn't put was the directional gear shift. Now, hopefully this is going to be able to connect. Yes, it can. Wonderful. Okay, and we'll go ahead and we'll pop this back on. And again, that is at the bottom. And what are we going to use for up and down? I'll use this and this. Okay. Shift click in here. That, and what did I use? I used that and that for up and down. So, make them receivable, and then there we go. So now we have full 360 control of the turret. Pretty straightforward. Now, obviously, this is a self-loading turret. If you want this to be able to fire and reload, you're going to need to put a mechanical arm. So basically, this is the exact same fundamentals as what we've gone over, but if we want to make this be able to fire and reload automatically, what we're going to need to do is add another point of power. So I'll grab this. Luckily, this here is relatively straightforward now. So we're going to grab another create motor, another one of these universal joints, and to make it a little bit more simple, I'm just going to reset this now. So from this point here, what we're going to need to do is build back, and then we can build out, and we need to get a, and we need depot. So we put depots, I think it's 2 depots, and then on top of that we'll put a, I usually will use the barrel. It just looks better than a chest. This needs to go on top here. And I'll grab a funnel and a sight funnel. Pop that on the back there. And then we need a smart chute. It does need to be a smart chute. Is what I would use there. Make sure that they are facing the correct direction. I'm running out of things to take out of my inventory here. Make sure that they are depositing. So we'll put solid shot into this here. This rare one here, we can put the cartridge. Then grab a filter, and this is quite important, and pop the spent cartridge in there. Pop that in there. And what we can do now is get the mechanical arm. So what we want the mechanical arm to do is we want to deposit items into there. We want to then go from that one to that one, and then this needs to be deposit as well. So from there, we can pop him down. I like to make sure that he is set to preferred first target. It's important. Let me just reset the day, and I'll just kind of balance that a little bit better. Now, once we've got that, we'll obviously need to pop down a cogwheel, and on top of this cog, pop a universal joint. Now this needs to connect back down to here, and that will, if we make it move a little quicker, that should start to load our cannon for us. So what we can do now is I'll grab another one of these guys. And I'm going to have to do that quickly as well. And come down here and pop him there. So this is going to be for our fire control. So send that to receive, shift click on this guy, and I'll put him on the, I think that's the space menu. So now when we go up here, we can right click this, and actually what I'll just quickly do is before we move anything, make sure that all of this rare components now are glued together. We don't actually need to connect the whole barrel, we just need to make sure that that main bit there is connected. So what we should be able to do now is right click this and hold the D key to move it to the left. Then we should be able to aim, and fingers crossed, there we go, we can fire. So easy as that. You see that the second you fire it, the arm will start to reload and the shell will be ejected. Easy as that. Just don't spam it too much. It can be a little bit titular sometimes, and when you do move up to having 2 barrels, again, it does get a little bit funky sometimes, but from this point onwards, you can really just dress it up. So that's pretty much what the internals of this here look like. It's just too wide. You can see the little mechanical arm in there, and I've used the copycat blocks to just dress it up, make it look more like a turret. But yeah, that is essentially how you make a turret for the Create Aeronautics. you can get a bit more complicated with it. Easiest way to do it is obviously the hand crank turret. Now there are some disadvantages to that. Obviously it costs a lot of food if you're using it in survival. Otherwise, I very much recommend the transmission mod, transmissions and linkages. I don't think that's what it's actually called. I'll need to confirm what this mod is called, but it is absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend it enough as far as connecting two different Sable sub-levels together. It is phenomenal, and it makes a lot of these things possible. Otherwise, you would probably have to use I did mention it before, if it's not in your mod pack and you're not able to change your mod pack, what you might use is something like a portable power generator. Um, this is not what I would use, because then you'd have to come in here and power it with coal. It is totally doable, but it would just be a bit of a pain in the ass. That's all. Otherwise, yeah, it probably isn't too difficult to hook up, and maybe you could figure out how to do that. But I'd very much recommend just using this linkages mod, and that way you can run everything off of the one main steam engine. Yeah. So that is an overview of the turrets, kind of some tips and tricks, how to set up an automatically firing turret that you can put on your battleships. Yeah, if you have any further questions around the Create Aeronautics or the Create Deep Sea, let me know. Happy to make further tutorials. Like I said, I might go into the propulsion system, but my propulsion and steering is pretty janky, so I might leave that one to the experts. But yeah, that is how I have been setting up my turrets. Yeah, drop a comment. I hope this helped. I did see that some people were struggling with it, and yeah, just figured it was easier to just go in here and show how to do it rather than tell. Wonderful. Yeah, have a lovely evening. I hope that helped. See you.